Welcome to Inquiry into Self, and we're continuing with my book, An Unprincipled Life, Living from the Unknown. And in this next section, I describe how we create an ego. And I use a great example. So in any given situation, all there is this flow of energy, everything intertwined. And then we can add on a whole story about it. And later we know more, a different aspect of the situation, and we change the story. But this energetic flow, when we aren't using our thoughts to interpret reality, is this conceptless energetic flow. And it's all that is happening all the time. So when we add on these stories, we're actually not changing anything. We're just adding an interpretation on top. We're always in this perfect energetic flow. So the story that I share is, as a little girl, I received a stuffed beaver that looked pretty realistic to me, and I threw it across the room. It was Christmas. I opened the gift. I threw it across the room. For whatever reason, I didn't want it. And my parents immediately saw what had happened, corrected me. I felt guilty and vowed to always love every gift I ever received, and started a practice of gushing over gifts and saying thank you before I even would know what gift I got. And that continued for several years. So this whole situation can take on the identities that I adopted at that moment. I'm a naughty little girl. And the identity, my parents will need to be pleased, know what's right, and I have to be a grateful girl. I have to be a grateful girl. These are the identities that my story making attributed. But looking back, you can say something completely different. Looking back at who all was in the room, I imagine it was likely there was a lot of tension in that room. So the throwing may have erupted as a release for the tension that was in that room. And my parents being able to correct me was an opportunity for them to have a release and to exert an influence over what was an inner chaos happening in that room. So all that happened was, the room had this energetic system going on. There was an eruption, there was another eruption, and then somehow it found a new balance. That's all that happened. And going on into my life, there's this wonderful exploration of people pleasing versus true gratitude and authenticity, which, given my people pleasing tendencies, was a very likely process that was going to happen in my life. So while we create this identity and make things right or wrong, ideal, balanced versus unideal and imbalanced, whatever words we want to use, it's actually this continuous flow. And those stories, sure, we can use them as tools, but they're not what actually happens. And looking back, we can come up with a whole new story. Our sense of identity is just that. It's a sense created from a bunch of thoughts and interpretations. And when they're not there, we notice what actually is always here. And that's this flow of life, seamless, totally interconnected, what we actually are.